Good morning, afternoon, evening, or morn-afternoon, everybody. My name is Mike at Filmboy24. Today it's time for round number, 32, found film. That's where we find an old roll of film. This one, particular one, was sent in by a viewer. It was shot presumably many, many years ago. We're going to try it in color, and it may or may not have sound. Love my new mug. Big shout out and huge thank you to my sister, Tina. My closest sibling, as far as I suppose geographically and age-wise, we're about 13 months apart, got me this really cool mug for my birthday. It's going to be hard for you to see it, but it's a lens. It's a Canon zoom lens, 24 to 105 millimeter. Well, at least you thought it was. It's actually a coffee mug with a cool lid. My sisters always take really good care of me. I have my other sister, Lori, in Indiana that takes good care. In fact, I know I'm straying a bit. She just came to Florida to visit. She texts me all the time. Hey, how about this camera? Do you want this? Garage sales, thrift stores, both my sisters love all that, and so do I. And she bought me this little Bell & Howell 220 8mm movie camera. So we're going to take a closer look at this little guy here soon, so keep an eye out. If you're interested in old 8mm stuff, I've kind of strayed away from regular 8, but I got to get back into it because I really enjoy it. But thank you, Lori, for that. Tina, Lori, they take care of me. Anyway, we are on found film number 32. Is that 2? Yeah, that's 2. And what it is it's a really old roll, old-ish roll of Ektachrome 160 type A film. This is a sound film. It was a color film. You can process these in color, and you'll see in a couple minutes that's what I tried to do. And most of the time, if the original shooter did a fair job, you can get some audio out of it as well. If you're not familiar, we do a found film series called the Cameraman Mike's Sound Film Box Set, where about once a month I'll develop an old roll of sound film from one huge batch. I'll put a link somewhere up here to the playlist for that Cameraman Mike stuff. That was his, that's his eBay screen name. Anyway, so what we had here is we had a viewer that contacted me and he said, Mike, I bought a Super 8 camera. It was specifically a Sears Model 199S, I'm pretty sure. This roll of film was inside the camera. It didn't say exposed on the edge, so I simply told him, why don't you just put it in your camera? If it's, only 5 or 10 feet that's not exposed, most of it will be found film. Send it to me. Let's see if we get anything out of it. And that's exactly what he did. And he was spot on. He said there was very little at the end. And like you'll see in a minute, that's exactly what the case was. There was very little of his at the end. So I decided on this one. I figured this was a little bit more recent roll. And you can typically tell by this little rectangle on the front of the label here. This is a white background rectangle with blue text. That typically means it's one of the EM26 rolls. It's a textured cart. A lot of the older carts will be smooth. It's not an exact science, but I've gotten it fairly close. So this was process EM26, which does not need a emulsion pre-hardener. So I felt pretty confident that my full temp E-6 chemicals weren't gonna melt the emulsion off of this. So I went for it. Don't always have very good luck with E-6 and this old Ektachrome, but it's really never any worse than just doing it in black and white. So if I don't get much color, I still get pretty decent images out of it, especially this newer stuff. Newer. Really quick, I say newer. The edge code on this film was, or is, a square, a circle, and a triangle. That means this particular roll of film was manufactured in 1985, which means it probably had a process before date 1987. Usually they give it 2 years, and most people shoot it relatively soon after they buy it. So that's kind of what we're going with. This is mid-80s. So what I did is I took this film and I loaded it right into this guy here. This is called a Lomo tank. It's a UPB-1A. You could put up to two 50-foot lengths of 8mm Super 8 or 16mm or 35mm film inside this and process it. I made a little doily for the top to sort of, it's my little insurance to keep any extraneous light out of it. I'm going to show you a very quick little montage of exactly how I do this film. The montage is some black and white stuff, but basically it's the same. It's 60 seconds long. If you don't want to watch it, just forward through it. Here's a quick little montage and we'll be right back. Like I said in the intro, I did process that at full temp E-6 chemical. And before we get into it, I do want to mention that this is coming relatively soon too. I believe this roll of film is fully exposed. Not 100% sure, but I believe it's fully exposed. It does say exposed. I don't want to take it out again in the light, but it's 16 millimeter. We're going to do our best to try to get an image out of it. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it yet. I don't know. I'm going to do some tests and see if I can get any images with color or black and white or whatnot. Stay tuned for this. It's 16 millimeter. It's a roll film, 100 feet. I also have some, that was loud. I also have some old Plus X coming in Super 8. These carts, a couple rolls of that are fully exposed found film. That's from typically, you know, the early 70s, somewhere in that range, late 60s, early 70s. So look out for that too. It's always interesting when you get some kind of film other than Ektachrome or Kodachrome, because usually it was used a little more artistically. Not always, but most of the time. Or they kind of knew what they were doing with the film. So stay tuned for that. And one last thing, right before I show you this, let me tell you that about the first 45 feet of this 50 feet of film is from the original found film shot back in the 80s. The last, you'll see the break, and then you'll see Craig is the fellow that sent this to me from Missouri. You'll see his footage. It's dark. Craig, sorry. Maybe a backlight or something like that. It was filmed in the evening outdoors, but anyway, you'll see the last 5 feet or so is his, the cars and whatnot. The color, nope, didn't come out very good at all. There was no audio on this film whatsoever. I ran it through my retro sync. I ran it in a projector. Couldn't get any audio whatsoever. I believe that was user error of the original shooter and not mine, because I get pretty good audio these days. So sorry, but no audio. Color is very muted, and it's almost more just black and white. Here's the film. And that's it. Kids having fun with mom and dad, inside, some outside. The outside stuff came out much better, obviously. Outside stuff always seems to come out better. I feel like I'm talking really fast. Outside stuff, okay, settle down. The outside stuff, yeah, usually comes out better. The sun, natural light, whatnot, usually you get better results. Inside, people, would put on their big 600-watt halogen lights sometimes. Then you get hot spots everywhere. Well, this particular one, you can see it's sort of hot on one side and dark on the other, and whatever. You get the gist. It's a family with some children, and they're outside playing. And then hopefully you saw at the end Craig's footage. Thank Craig for me, everybody, for sending that in. It means a lot to me that you guys, keep an eye out for me. If you got some old found film, unfortunately, I'm not really interested in processing people's film. I can't do it for free. I do process a lot of people's film. I can't do it for free if I can't use it on my channel, and I don't typically use your particular film that you shot on my channel. So thank you, Craig. He's CSB, I believe, his screen name on YouTube. So give him a shout out, give him a thank you. If you have some old found film, if you bought an old camera, if it's not Ektachrome, because I'm really, really not interested in Ektachrome too much anymore. If it's Ektachrome, this old Ektachrome, or some other type of black and white film, reach out to me. My email is in the About section here, right here on YouTube. And if you feel like I've earned it, how about do this? If you think I've earned it, if not, well, move on to the next person's video. I'm okay with that. But at the very least, on your way out, can you tap the like button for me? Helps me, helps the algorithm. It's free, it takes less than a second. And until the very next time we have another roll of found film or another exciting video, I hit the box. We'll see all of you on the very next go around.